Two-Gun Kitty, the Catnip Outlaw here, and we're bringing you this review from the Grand Salma Resort at Land's End in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Today I'd like to do a review and my thoughts on the CMC drop-in trigger made in Texas. 3.5 pound, most particularly the flat face trigger, but I also handled the curved trigger as well. Performance on the trigger is good, it's solid, just it's comparable to any other triggers in its price range. No better, no worse. And that's one a key point is what is the price range of this trigger, because its suggested retail is going to be about $170, but you're frequently going to find it on sale for about $130, sometimes $100. Primary Arms has some good sales on it frequently. I got it with bonus bucks back, so I probably, after tax and shipping, got it for $85. So I did pay for the trigger. The biggest problem I have is that flat face trigger has this little hook on the end that looks cool. You know, it looks nice in your gun, but it feels lousy on your finger. It kind of gives you a constraining feel. Like it almost like the trigger guard area is smaller because of that. It just, I don't know, I do not like the feel of that hook. A lot of people say that they just grind it off. Well, I'm not grinding something off of a $100 trigger. I'll just buy a trigger I like that feels better, if that's the case. So I tried out the curved trigger. The curved trigger has a much better feel. It's going to have that natural feel that you have with any curved trigger. So I think the curved trigger is actually a better option than that flat face. The other major thing that I don't like about the CMC trigger is it doesn't have the screws that you can tighten down onto the pins to reduce the movement of the trigger, because it has a little bit of play, even with the anti-walk pins that they do provide you. So this is a common feature on every drop-in trigger I've used, and I think most drop-in triggers now will have that feature. So that's kind of, I think, a little cheaping out, and they should have updated that by now on that trigger. And and that just gives me another point with this trigger is it just seems to have a cheap feel. The look of it, they do instead of a nice aluminum housing, they have I think it's a stamped steel housing that just isn't attractive, which doesn't matter when it's on the inside of the gun. But the trigger that I'm primarily using now is going to be the Blackout Defense Zero trigger. For a little bit more, I think it's a much better, it's a superior trigger, and the value considering is I think a better value, even though it costs more. You look at the hammer, all the parts on the Blackout Defense are more robust, more finely polished, and cleaner looking than what you're going to see with the CMC, especially when you compare the hammer. The mass of the hammer is probably twice as big as the CMC, and also most other triggers. That trigger gives you the feel of like a Abrams tank, something that's real powerful yet refined. And you don't get that with the CMC. The CMC is going to be more like a Sherman tank. Just gets the job done, but it's not the best option to do it. And it's a trigger that, yes, if you can get it at $100, I say go for it if you're on a budget. It's a good choice. Your other triggers in that price range that you'll see on sale is the Rise Rave 140. I think they're very, very equal. CMC might be a little better performance-wise there. If it's $130, I'm not really buying the CMC, even at a cheap point. I would go get the Rave, which is often available for $100. And I think if you can afford it, you step it up to a Blackout defense, which is going to run you about 200. I think that's right now the best drop-in trigger on the market. That's the best I've experienced. I like it much better than the Elfman Match, which is another $200 trigger. Only advantage the Elfman has is that it's adjustable on the trigger weight, pull weight. So, you know, the CMC, like I say, it's a good trigger where it's Texas made. A lot of people have pride in that, and I think, and they also throw a lot of free product out there to people, so I think they get a lot of favorable reviews because of that. You know, and I'm a little leery when I see too many people pushing a trigger that is that discounted that often. When I have seen people, I think, that are giving very fair reviews, yeah, they knock the trigger. They have things that they complain about it. They don't, you know, give it this rave review that other people that I think that are just doing more of a promotional video. So, you know, like I said, if you're looking at it as a $100 trigger, it's a good trigger. 130, I think I like the Velocity trigger at that price point over the CMC. And at its suggested retail, no, I'm stepping up to a $200 trigger for $30 more. It's not a $170 trigger. So hope this helps you out in your quest for drop-in triggers. I got a couple of more days down here to enjoy the view. We had a tropical storm off the coast a couple of days ago, so we got some really nice waves the last 2 days. These are actually tame compared to what we were getting, and having a great time. So Two Gun Kitty signing off.